We're live from St. James. Finally, we get a home game. And St. James just finished up their warm-up. We're playing Brew today, our across the town, just right down the street rival. And very good team, very well-coached team. The Trojans' season record right now is 21-8. We just played Beauregard on Tuesday. And we're playing Brew. They're an area opponent, Class 5A Area 4 opponent. Again, a very, very good team, very well coached team. We played them earlier in the year. But we're playing at St. James. It's nice to have a home game. And just trying to look at the screen here, it looks like I've got all of St. James side and most of Brew side, but we'll go with that. And we'll get everything situated here while Brew still has about 3 minutes of their warm-up, and then we'll play volleyball. Yeah, we got, looking at the clock, the warm-up time, we got about 3 minutes left. We got less than 1 minute before the Brew will complete their warm-ups. All right, the horn's about to blow unless they stop it. We're ready to play volleyball. Both teams will position themselves and get ready to greet each other in the net. Again, the Trojans taking on Brew. It's going to get loud in here. St. James will start this first set, and again, this is a best 3 out of 5. Kathleen Wright, Emily Olsey, Mary Lee Capulia, Carson Ann Crow, Emily Poundstone, and Bailey Williams. Seeing Emily Poundstone on the court, I would assume, hopefully so, that the Trojans will be serving to the Rams first. The down referee checking both lineups, rolls the ball out to Poundstone, and we're ready to play. Poundstone, number 10, back serving for the Trojans. Floats one into the middle of the Rams defense. They set up their attack. Tipped over, played by Carson Ann Crow. She gets to the Poundstone. Back to Kathleen Wright, blocked at the net. Poundstone pushes it up. Crow takes it. Kathleen Wright tips it over the block. Ball's down on the St. James side. First point of the first set goes to the Rams, and they lead St. James 1-0. Number 4 for the Rams, serving to the Trojans, a lefty. Serves it in, played by Emily Olsey. She gets it to Poundstone, back to Olsey. Ball goes into the net. Point for Brew Tech, and they lead St. James 2-0. Serve comes in, played by Bailey Williams. She gets it to Poundstone, pushes it to Olsey again. Into the block and down. That's a point for St. James. Poundstone to Olsey. Emily Olsey with her first kill of the match. As number 7, Mary Lee Capulia, goes back to serve for St. James. Nice serve in the middle of the back row. That ball's out. That's an attack error by the Rams, evening the score at 2 apiece. Capulia back serving for St. James. She floats one in again to the middle of the back row. That's a double hit on the setter for the Rams. That gives St. James their first lead of this first set. St. James leading Brew Tech 3-2. Serve goes in, same place, the middle of the back row. That's an ace. That's an ace for Capulia, her first of the match. Point for St. James, and they lead Brew Tech 4-2. Nice floater serve to the back row. The Rams set up their attack. Ball's down. The kill for the Rams and gives them their third point. St. James holding on now to a 4-3 lead. Serve comes in, played by Bailey Williams. She gets it to Poundstone, pushes it to Carson Ann Crow. Emily Olsey digs it up, gets it to Poundstone, back to Olsey. She bangs it into the block again for her second kill. Point St. James. St. James takes a 5-3 lead and a side out with Alan Browning back serving for St. James. Browning floats one into the middle of the defense. They set up their attack. Off the block and down on St. James' side. Point for the Rams. St. James holding on to a 1-point lead now. The score is St. James 5, Brew Tech 4. Serve comes in, played by Mary Lee Capulia to Poundstone, to Carson Ann Crow in the middle. That's a kill in the middle. That's Carson Ann Crow's first kill of the match. Point for St. James, and that's a side out for the Trojans. St. James holding on to a 6-4 lead as Emily Olsey, number 16, goes back to serve for the Trojans. She floats one into the middle of the back row. tipped over, played by Browning. Olsey hustles and gets it over the net. Capulla saves it and gets the ball over the net for the Trojans. Rolled over the net, played by Browning to Olsey. Back to Ashley White. The nice attack. Carson Ann Crow with an overkill. Overpass kill for Carson Ann Crow. Gives St. James a 7-4 lead as Olsey goes back, continues to serve for the Trojans. Ashley White came in for Emily Poundstone, and Ashley's playing on the front row along with Bailey Williams and Carson Ann Crow. Olsey floats one in barely over the net. Hard serve to the back row. Blocked at the net. Played up by Carson Ann Crow. She gets it to Olsey. Back to Crow. Oh, it rolls down the net and out of bounds. Point for Brew Tech. That's a side out for Brew Tech. St. James holding on to a 2-point lead now. The score St. James 7, Brew Tech 5. Number 7 for Brew Tech. Serving to the Trojans. She floats it in. Played by Marilee Capulla. She gets it to Olsey. Olsey to Carson Ann Crow on the right side. Overpass played by Bailey Williams. Oh, ball's rolled over the net and onto the court on St. James' side. That's a point for the Rams. St. James now with a 1-point lead. The score, the Trojans 7, the Rams 6. Serve comes in, played by Alan Browning. Capulla saves it to the middle. Bailey Williams gets it over the court. The Rams set up their attack. Blocked at the net. Blocked at the net by Carson Ann Crow and Bailey Williams. Point for St. James and a side out with St. James leading the Rams now 8-6. Carson Ann Crow, number 13, back serving for the Trojans. She float. Foot fault called on Carson Ann. I didn't see that, but that's a side out and a point for the Rams. St. James holding on to a 1-point lead. The score is the Trojans 8, the Rams 7. Floater serve played by Capulla. She gets it to Olsey. She pushes it over to Bailey Williams. She rolls it over the net and down on the court. That's a kill for Bailey Williams. Side out for St. James, and they lead the Rams now 9-7. Bailey Williams, number 14, goes back to serve for St. James. Bailey floats one into the back row. The Rams set up their attack. That ball's out, way out of bounds. Point for St. James. St. James now with a 3-point lead over the Rams. The score is 10-7. Bailey floats one into the back right corner. The Rams set up their attack. That's a push, double push by the setter for the Rams that gives St. James their 11th point, and they lead Brew Tech now 11-7. Bailey floats another one in back to the middle of the back row. Blocked at the net. The Trojans couldn't get the ball back over the net. That's a side out for the Rams, and St. James holding on to a 3-point lead now. The score, St. James 11, Brew Tech 8. Serve comes in, played by Bailey Williams. She gets it to Olsey. Back to Ashley White. Nice attack by Ashley. The Rams set up their attack. Nice kill by the Rams. St. James holding on now to a 2-point lead. The score, St. James 11, Brew Tech 9. Serve comes in, tips the net, hits the court. That's an ace for the Rams, and that gives them their 10th point. St. James now with a 1-point lead. The score is 11-10. Serve played by Carson Crow. That's an overpass. Back row set. Attack error by the Rams gives St. James side out, and St. James leading now 12-10. Emily Poundstone comes in for Ashley White and will be serving for the Trojans. Poundstone floats one into the back right corner. We got a free ball to St. James, played by Carson Ann Crow. She gets it to Poundstone. Back to Kathleen Wright. Attack on the right side. Off the block and out of bounds. Point for the Rams. Side out to Brew Tech with St. James holding on to a 1-point lead now. The score is St. James 12, Brew Tech 11. Lefty serves it in, played by Carson Ann Crow. She gets to the Poundstone. Back over to Olsey. That's a kill for Olsey. Poundstone to Olsey. That's Emily's third kill of the match, and that gives St. James a 13-11 lead. Marilee Capulia, number 7, back serving for the Trojans. Capulia floats one. It's deep. It's a service error for the Trojans, giving a side out and a point to the Rams. St. James now with a 1-point lead, 13-12. Floater in. Olsey takes it. Gets it to Poundstone. She gets it to Carson Ann Crow. That's a double hit by the Rams setter. Side out and a point for St. James. St. James leading the Rams now 14-12. As Alan Browning comes in for Kathleen Wright and serves for the Trojans. She floats one in. Nice overpass kill by Carson Ann Crow. Point for St. James. St. James leading Brew Tech now 15-12. Browning continues to serve for the Trojans. She floats another one into the middle of the defense. Pushed into the net. That's an ace for Alan Browning. Point for St. James, and they lead the Rams 16-12. Allen floats another slough one in there to the net. Dug up by Browning. Nice. Point for St. James. Alan Browning dug up the attack, and the Brew Tech player couldn't get over there and get it. The ball goes out of bounds. St. James now with a 17-12 lead over the Rams. Timeout, Brew Tech. Brew Tech takes the court. The Trojans break huddle and they take the court. Alan Browning, number 8, serving for St. James. St. James with a 17-12 lead. She floats another one into the middle of the back row. Blocked at the net by Olsey. Rolled over, played by Marilee Capulia. She gets to the Poundstone. Back to Carson Ann Crow, and down the line kill for Carson Ann Crow. Poundstone to Crow gives St. James their a lead, 18-12 over the Rams. Very well set up play by our offense. Browning floats another one in, barely over the net. The Rams in hustle mode. Free ball to St. James. Alan Browning comes in, takes a free ball, gets it to Poundstone. Ball's out. Attack error by St. James gives the Rams a side out. St. James holding on now to a 5-point lead with the score 18-13. The libero for the Rams serving to the Trojans. She serves it in, played by Carson Ann Crow, gets it to Poundstone. Back to Bailey Williams, and then attack on the left side. Overpass, kill by Olsey at the net. That's her 4th kill. Side out to St. James. St. James now with a 6-point lead, and they lead the Rams 19-13. Ashley White comes back in for Emily Poundstone as Emily Olsey serves for the Trojans. Nice serve, good hard serve to the middle of the back row. That ball was out. Saved. Trojans couldn't get it back over the net. Point inside out to Brew Tech. St. James now with a 5-point lead. The score is St. James 19, the Rams 14. Service error by the Rams, and that's perfect timing. That gives St. James their 20th point. They lead the Rams by 6. Score 20-14 as Carson Ann Crow goes back to serve for the Trojans. She floats one into the back right corner. The Rams set up their attack. Blocked at the net, dug up by Marilee Capulia, sets it back up and it goes back to her. Tipped at the net. The Rams set up their attack. That ball's down. Point for the Rams. St. James now with a 5-point lead. The score, St. James 20, Brew Tech 15. Number 15 for the Rams goes back to serve to the Trojans. Serve comes in, played by Allen Browning. Olsey hustles over it. It's a double touch by our setter. Gives the Rams their 16th point. St. James leading 20-16. Serve comes in and into the net. Side out, point for St. James. Kathleen Wright comes back into the game for Allen Browning. Back up to the front row as Bailey Williams serves for the Trojans. Floats it into the middle of the back row. Marcin Crow gets it up. Bailey Williams saves it, gets it over the net. Olsey saves it, gets it over to Carson Ann Crow. She sets up Kapuya on the left side. Touch. Olsey gets it up again. Bailey Williams rushes in to save it, gets it over to Kapuya. Ball hits the net and falls on the St. James side. That's a point for the Rams. St. James now with a 21-17 lead. Serve comes in and long. Nice, perfect timing. Side out to St. James, and that gives St. James their 22nd point. Poundstone comes in for Ashley White and will be serving for St. James that has a 22-17 lead over the Rams. Poundstone serves a knuckleball back in. The Rams in hustle mode. Bailey Williams gets a ball up to Poundstone, gets it over to Olsey. She tips it over the block and down. That's Emily Olsey's 5th kill of the match and gives St. James a 23-17 lead. Poundstone gets another serve over the net. Nobody home in the right corner. That's a point for Brew Tech and a side out to them. Smart position play by the Rams. St. James now with a 23-18 lead. Number 4, the lefty for the Rams, serving to the Trojans. She gets it to Carson Ann Crow. Poundstone punches it up. Olsey saves it. The Rams set up their attack. Bailey Williams saves. Nice hustle play by Bailey Williams to try to get a hand on it, but the ball goes into the net and down on the Trojan side of the court for a Rams point. St. James leading now 23-19. Serve comes in, played by Carson Ann Crow. She gets it to Poundstone. Poundstone to Olsey. She pushes it over the side of the block. The double hit that's not called. Ball's dug up. Poundstone gets the ball over to Carson Ann Crow with a 10-foot line attack. Marilee Kapuya saves it. Poundstone gets it back up. Carson Ann Crow gets it over the net. The ball's long. Point to St. James. That was an attack error by the Rams, and we're at set point. This first set, St. James leading 24-19 over the Rams. Marilee Kapuya back serving for the Trojans. She gets it over the net. Nice serve to the middle of the Rams defense. Blocked at the net, and the point for St. James. Olsey and Wright blocked her at the net, and that'll end the first set. St. James takes the first set, 25-19. We got a 3-minute wait between sets. St. James wins the first set, 25-19. The first set, Kathleen Wright had 1 block. Marilee Kapuya had 1 ace. Allen Browning had 1 ace. Carson Ann Crow had 4 kills and 1 block. Bailey Williams had 1 kill and 1 block. Emily Olsey had 5 kills and 1 block. Emily Poundstone had 4 assists that first set. We got about 30 seconds before we're going to start the second set. Both teams still huddled up. Again, this is a best 3 out of 5 match. The Rams take the court. The Trojans stack it up. And they prepare to take the court as the down referee goes over to check the lineups for the Rams. The Rams will be serving to the Trojans to start this second set. St. James will start this second set off with Kathleen Wright, Ashley White, Emily Olsey, Marilee Kapuya, Carson Ann Crow, and Bailey Williams. Kathleen Wright. Emily Olsey and Ashley White be on the front row for the Trojans. Take that back. The ball's rolled in to the Rams, and here we go. Starting the second set. Lefty serves for the Rams. Ball comes in. Played by Bailey Williams. She gets it to Olsey. To Kapuya. She pushes it over the block. The Rams set up their attack. And down it goes. Nice setup by the Rams on a quick set. They'll lead this second set 1-0. Lefty serves again. That one's short and into the net. A service error by the Rams gives St. James a side out in their first point, and we're all evened at 1 as Emily Poundstone, number 10, comes in for Ashley White and serving for St. James. Poundstone hits a bullet to the middle of the back row. Ball's out. An attack error by the Rams gives St. James their first lead in this second set. St. James leads now 2-1. Poundstone hit a bullet to the middle of the back row. Another nice serve to the middle of the back row. Rams push it over. Marilee Kapuya gets it to Poundstone. Kathleen Wright tips it over the block. And down. That's a kill for Kathleen Wright. The Trojans lead the Rams now 3-1. Poundstone serves another one over the net. The Rams set up their attack. Oh, that's a kill for the Rams and a side out. They trail the Trojans by 1 with St. James leading the Rams 3-2. Serve comes in, played by Olsey to Poundstone, back to Olsey. Into the net. That's an attack error by the Trojans, and that's a point for Brew Tech. And we're all evened up again, 3-3. Serve comes in, pushed up by Kathleen Wright. Marilee Kapuya's blocked to the net. Poundstone pushes over to Olsey. That's a kill for Olsey, a cross-court kill for Emily Olsey. St. James takes a 4-3 lead and a side out. Marilee Kapuya, number 7, will be serving for the Trojans. She floats one into the middle of the Rams defense. Pushed up, over. That's an overpass point for St. James. St. James takes a 5-3 lead over the Rams. Kapuya serving for the Trojans. Floats one into the middle of the back row, played by the Rams. Pushed up, set up their attack. Bailey Williams dives and tries to get the ball up, but it goes out of bounds. That's a side out and a point for the Rams. She laid out for it, but couldn't get the ball back up. St. James with a 5-4 lead now over Brew Tech. Serve comes in, played by Bailey Williams. She gets it to Poundstone, pushes it to Crow. Ball dug up by the Rams. Bailey Williams gets the ball pushed back up to Poundstone. That's a kill for Emily Poundstone. You gotta love it when your setter gets a kill. Point to St. James. Side out for the Trojans. They lead the Rams 6-4 as Alan Browning serving for the Trojans. She floats another one into the middle of the Rams defense. They set up their attack. Blocked at the net and down on the St. James side for a point for the Rams. St. James still holding on to a 1-point lead to score. The Trojans 6, the Rams 5. Serve comes in and into the net. That's a side out. We got to love service errors for the other team. St. James with a 7-5 lead as Emily Olsey goes back to serve for the Trojans. Ashley White comes in for Emily Poundstone to the front row. Oh man, doggone it. Service error on the Trojans gives Brew Tech a side out. And the Trojans still holding on to that 1-point lead. St. James 7, Brew Tech 6. Serve comes in. Alan Browning plays it, gets it to Olsey. Olsey pushes it over to Carson Ann Crow. She hits the ball off the block and out of bounds. That's a point for St. James. Perfectly placed shot by Carson Ann Crow, who is now back serving for St. James with the Trojans leading 8-6. She floats a knuckleball serve into floater serve to the back row. Point for Brew Tech. We had a net violation. Net violation on the Trojans gives Brew Tech a point. And St. James holding on to that 1-point lead, 8-7. Serve comes in and into the net. You gotta love that. That's a side out for St. James and a point. The Trojans leading now 9-7 as Bailey Williams back serving for the Trojans and Kathleen Wright, number 2, comes in for Alan Browning. Williams floats one into the back left corner. The Rams set up their attack. Dug up nicely by Bailey Williams. Gets it to Kapuya. Carson Crow with an attack and a kill to the back row. Very well played ball. Point for the Trojans that now lead the Rams 10-7. Bailey Williams serving for the Trojans. Floats another one into the middle of the back row. That ball was lifted. The Trojans get the ball over. Oh yeah, nice hustle play by the Trojans. The Rams are scrambling. Ball's pushed over, played by Marilee Kapuya. She gets it to Olsey. Pushes it over to Ashley White. She pushes it over the block. Dug up nicely by Olsey. Bailey Williams gets it over to Carson Ann Crow. Back row attack. The Rams set up their attack. Pushed over. Marilee Kapuya saves it. Doggone it. The Trojans can't get the ball over the net, at the net. Nice hustle play by the Trojans. Good point there for the Trojans, even though we lost it. The Trojans holding on to a 2-point lead now. The score is St. James 10, Brew Tech 8. The lefty for the Rams serving. Carson Ann Crow slides in and gets the ball to Olsey. Olsey to Ashley White, and the ball's hitting to the net. That's a point for the Rams. St. James now with a 10-9 lead, that 1-point lead. Trojans looking for a side out as the lefty prepares to serve. She floats it in to Carson Ann Crow. Olsey pushes the ball over to Ashley White. Off the block, the Rams dig it up. They push it over to the block. That was a nicely placed kill by the Rams. Marilee Kapuya dove and all she could get was her left hand on it and went out of bounds. We're all tied up at 10. Is number 4, the lefty for the Rams, serving the ball over to St. James. Ashley White digs it up, gets it to Carson Ann Crow. Ashley White gets the ball over the net on the free ball. The Rams set up their attack. Ball's pushed over. Olsey gets the ball to Bailey Williams. She pushes it to Kapuya off the block, dug up by the Rams. They set up their attack. That ball's out. That ball looked like it was out of bounds. Point for the Rams, and they take a lead Williams lead the Trojans 11-10. I got a terrible angle, but that ball looked like it might have been out of bounds. The lefty, number 4, serves the ball over, played by Carson Crow. She gets it to Emily Olsey. She gets it back to Carson Crow with a back row attack. Point for St. James. Called a double touch on the setter. That evens us up at 11 as Emily Poundstone comes in for Ashley White and will be serving for St. James. We're all tied up at 11. Poundstone comes in. Service error by the Trojans gives the lead right back to the Rams, and we're down by 1 to the Rams, 12-11. Floater serve played by Olsey. She pushes it to Poundstone, back to Marilee Capulla. Ball's blocked and down on the St. James court. St. James trailing the Rams now, 13-11. We need a side out. Ball comes in, played by Carson Crow. Gets it to Poundstone, pushes it over to Olsey. Off the block. Bailey Williams gets the ball back over the net. Number 3 for the Rams gets it off the St. James block and down onto the court. St. James trailing the Rams 14-11 as Coach Karen Reed calls a timeout. Score on the court again. Brew Tech 14, St. James 11. Trojans break huddle and take the court. Kathleen Wright, Marilee Capulla, Emily Olsey, Emily Poundstone, Carson Crow, and Bailey Williams on the court for the Trojans, trailing 14-11. Number 1 floats it in, Carson Crow. She gets the ball to Poundstone. Poundstone, Marilee Capulla comes in and rushes in. That's going to be a kill for Marilee Capulla, and we'll take it. Side out to the Trojans on a miscommunication by the Rams. They trail the Rams 14-12. Marilee Capulla back serving for the Trojans. She floats one into the middle of the back row. The Rams set up their attack. Ball down the left line. That's a kill for the Rams, and they lead St. James 15-12. Side out to the Rams. Ball floated in. Bailey Williams. Carson Crow saves it. Emily Olsey gets the ball over the net on the free ball. Ball's out of bounds. Point to St. James. That's an attack error by the Rams. That's a side out. Alan Browning comes in for Kathleen Wright and serving for St. James. It's down 15-13. Browning floats it into the middle of the defense. They set up their offense. Nice kill by the Rams. Side out to the Rams, and they take a 16-13 lead over St. James. Ball comes in, played by Marilee Capulla. She gets it to Poundstone, back to Carson and Crow in the middle. That's a kill for Crow on the back line. Trojans are down by 2. The score, Brew Tech 16, St. James 14 as Emily Olsey goes back to serve for St. James, and Ashley White, number 18, comes in for Emily Poundstone. Olsey floats one into the middle of the back. That's an ace. Ace for Olsey, and it couldn't have come at a better time. Point for St. James, and they trail the Rams now only by 1. Score, Brew Tech 16, St. James 15. Olsey floats another one down the left line. That's an overpass. Carson Crow gets the ball back over the net. The ball's dumped over the net by the Rams and onto the St. James court for a kill. Side out to Brew Tech, and they lead St. James now 17-15. Serve comes in, played by Marilee Capuy. She gets it to Emily Olsey. Back sets to Carson and Crow. Ball's played off the block. That's an overpass. That's a kill for Brew Tech off the block of St. James. They lead St. James now 18-15. The Trojans need a side out here. Serve comes in. That's long. That's a service error by the Rams, and that'll be a side out to the Trojans. And the Trojans trail by 2, 18-16. Carson and Crow back serving for St. James. She floats it into the back right corner. We got a free ball to St. James. Alan Browning pushes it to Olsey. Olsey back sets to Bailey Williams. Blocked at the net. Alan Browning sets it up, gets it to Olsey. Ashley White pushes it back, and that's a kill for Ashley White. That's her first. Perfect timing, Ashley. That a girl. St. James trailing by 1 now. The Rams 18, the Trojans 17. Carson and Crow still back serving for St. James. She floats one into the middle of the back row. The Rams set up their attack. Ball dug up nicely by Olsey. Carson and Crow pushes it over to Ashley White. She gets the ball over the net. Ball rolled over, played by Olsey to Crow. Crow gets the ball to Ashley White again. Off the block. We got a free ball to St. James. Bailey Williams saves it. Olsey pushes it over. Caught a double hit on St. James. That's a side out to the Rams, and they take a 2-point lead over the Trojans. The score, Brew Tech 19, St. James 17. We need a side out. There it is. The ball's deep and out of bounds. Side out to the Trojans. They trail the Rams by 1 now. Knock the scores. Brew Tech 19, St. James 18 as Bailey Williams goes back to serve for the Trojans. Williams floats a nice floater into the back row. Ball's tipped. Carson and Crow gets the ball up to Olsey. She jump sets to Ashley White. She pushes it to the back corner. That's perfect placement for White. That's a point for St. James, and they were all evened up at 19 now. Bailey Williams serving for the Trojans. She serves the ball into the middle of the back row. Rams push it over. Save. It's not a lift, but he called a lift. Side out to Brew Tech. Side out to Brew Tech, and they take a 20-19 lead over the Trojans. The lefty for the Rams serving again to St. James. She floats it into Marilee Capuy. She gets it to Olsey. She back sets to Ashley White. That's a kill for Ashley White with a 40 right there, baby. St. James evens it up now, 20 all. Virginia Poundstone, number 10, comes in for Ashley White. Poundstone serving for the Trojans. She floats it into the middle of the back row. The Rams in scramble mode now. Back row attack played by Carson and Crow. She gets it to Poundstone. Pushed over to Marilee Capuy and down. Point for St. James. That's a kill for Capuy. That's her second. St. James takes a 1-point lead now, 21-20, as Brew Tech calls a timeout. That's unofficially, that's Poundstone's 10th assist of this match. Trojans need to go on a run here at the end of this second set. 30 seconds left in the timeout. Trojans break huddle, take the court. Kathleen Wright, Marilee Capuy, Emily Olsey, Bailey Williams, Carson Ann Crow, and Emily Poundstone. On the court for the Trojans, Poundstone serving for St. James. St. James with a 21-20 lead. Poundstone floats one into the middle of the back row. The Rams set up their attack. Ball's tipped off our block and onto the court. Side out to the Rams, and we're all evened up again at 21. Serve comes in, played by Carson Crow. Poundstone pushes the ball up to Olsey. Olsey pushes the ball over the block. The Rams set up their attack. Ball's blocked, dug up by Carson Crow. Pushed over to Kathleen Wright, and the ball goes into the net. That's a point for the Rams. They take a 22-21 lead over the Trojans. Serve comes in, played by Olsey. Carson Crow gets it back to Olsey. She rolls the ball over the block. The Rams set up their attack. Ball's hitting to the net. Thank you. We're all evened up at 22. That's an attack error by the Rams. Gives St. James a side out. Marilee Capulia, number 7, back serving for St. James, and we're all knotted up at 22. Capulia floats one into the middle of the back row. The Rams set up their attack. Ball's pushed up, saved by Bailey Williams. Poundstone saves it. Capulia gets the ball over the net. Rams set up their attack. Dug up nicely by Poundstone. The Trojans can't get the ball back over the net with an overpass. The Rams take a 23-22 lead as St. James calls a timeout. The Rams break huddle and take the court. The Trojans huddle up. They break huddle, take the court. The Trojans down by 1. The score is Brew Tech 23, St. James 22. We need a side out here. Ball served in, played off St. James defender and falls onto the court for an ace for the Rams. We're at set point now, the second set. Brew Tech's leading St. James 24-22. Serve comes in, played by Carson Crow. Poundstone hustles over and gets the ball. Olsey gets the ball in. The Rams in hustle mode. Off the block and on St. James court. The Trojans lose the second set, 22-25. We got a 3-minute intermission between sets. We got a little less than a minute left before the start of the third set. Again, this is a 3 sets out of 5 match. Brew Tech breaks huddle and takes the court. Still have about 15 seconds left in the timeout. The down referee checks the lineup for the Rams. The Trojans huddle up and take the court. This third set, St. James will start this third set with Kathleen Wright, Marilee Kapuya, Emily Olsey, Bailey Williams, Carson Ann Crow, and Emily Poundstone. Down referee checks the Trojans lineup. Emily Poundstone has the ball, and we're about ready to play ball. Poundstone gets the ball in, a knuckleball to the middle of the Rams defense. They set up their attack. They push the ball over. Played by Bailey Williams. She gets to the Poundstone. Back set to Kathleen Wright. Rams dig the ball up, back row set. Ball's rolled over, played by Poundstone. She gets the ball to Bailey Williams, to Marilee Kapuya. Ball's out of bounds. Point to the Rams. They take a 1-0 lead in this third set. Number 4, the lefty, serving for the Rams. She floats one over, played by Carson Crow. Gets it to Poundstone, back over to Olsey. Into the net and out of bounds on the St. James side. The Rams take a 2-0 lead. Serve floats over, played by Bailey Williams. Poundstone hustles it back to Carson and Crow on the back row attack. The Rams dig that, push the ball over. Olsey gets the ball over, Marilee Kapuya gets the ball over the block. The Rams say, the ball might have been out of bounds. Ball goes into the net and down on St. James' side. That's another point for the Rams, and they take a 3-0 lead over St. James. Lefty floats the ball into the net, and we have a service error side out for St. James, and we needed that. St. James trails Brew Tech now 3-1 as Marilee Kapuya, number 7, goes back to serve for the Trojans. Kapuya floats one into the back right corner. The Rams set up their attack. Blocked at the net by Olsey and Wright. Ball goes over the net, played by Olsey. She gets it to Poundstone. Back to Kathleen Wright on the right side. Ball's blocked and back down on St. James' side of the court. Side out to the Rams. St. James trailing Brew Tech now 4-1. Serve comes over, played by Bailey Williams. Poundstone hustles and gets the ball over to Carson and Crow. Blocked at the net and back down onto the St. James side. St. James trailing now 5-1. Serve comes over, played by Bailey Williams. She gets it to Poundstone. She pushes it back over to Carson and Crow. Rolls the ball over the block. The ball's punched over, played by Bailey Williams to Poundstone. To Olsey in the middle. That's a kill by Olsey. Right in the face of the Brew Tech defender. Poundstone to Olsey. St. James trailing now 5-2. Alan Browning comes in for Kathleen Wright, serving for the Trojans. She floats one into the middle of the defense. They set up their offense. Blocked at the net by Olsey and Crow. Olsey gets the ball on the overpass, sets back up. Bailey Williams blocked at the net. The ball falls back on St. James' side. Side out to Brew Tech, and they lead St. James now 6-2. Serve comes in, played by Carson Crow. Poundstone hustles in it, gets it back to Crow in the middle. Off the block and out of bounds. I'm sorry. Off the net and out of bounds. Referee says there's no touch. That's a point for the Rams. They lead St. James 7-2. Ball floated in and out of bounds. We needed that. We need all the help we can get. Side out to St. James on the service error. St. James trailing the Rams 7-3. Emily Olsey goes back to serve for St. James. Ashley White comes in for Emily Poundstone. Olsey floats it in. That was a double touch. It's blocked at the net by Carson Crow and Bailey Williams. Pushed up by Carson Crow. She gets it to Olsey. Back to Ashley White. Nice attack. Dug up by the Rams. Kapuya gets the ball to Olsey. Olsey pushes it over to Carson Crow. Oh, nice save. Oh, but the Rams hit it back down on St. James side. Nice hustle play by the Trojans, but the Rams get the point. Side out, Rams, and they lead St. James 8-3. Up ref whistles play. Serve comes in, played by Carson Ann Crow. Olsey runs over it, pushes it to the left side. Ashley White pushes the ball back to the right corner. Ball's played by Alan Browning, gets the ball to Olsey. Olsey pushes it to Carson Ann Crow. Down the left line in the kill. Olsey to Crow. Point for St. James, and they trail the Rams now 8-4 as Carson Ann Crow goes back to serve for the Trojans. Carson Ann floats one into the middle of the Rams defense. They set up their attack. Ball's out of bounds. That's an attack error by the Rams, giving St. James their 5th point. St. James trailing now only by 3 as Carson Ann Crow continues to serve for the Trojans. She floats another one into the middle of the Rams defense. Ball played by Alan Browning. Carson Ann Crow gets the ball over to Ashley White. She rolls the ball over the block. Rams set up their attack. Oh, it's a nice kill by the Rams. Side out to Brew Tech, and they lead St. James 9-5. The Brew Tech defender hung up in the air and then hammered the ball down on St. James' side. Serve comes over, played by Marilee Kapuya. She pushes it to Olsey. Olsey back to White. She dunks it down on the Brew Tech defender's head for her 4th kill. St. James with a side out, and they trail Brew Tech now 9-6. Bailey Williams back serving for the Trojans. Williams pushes the ball back set. Ball's down. Bailey Williams digs the ball up, gets it to Carson Ann Crow. Ashley White off the block, and that's a kill for Ashley White. That's her 5th kill. Nice play by Bailey Williams to dig that ball up and keep it live. The Trojans trail the Rams now only by 2. Brew Tech 9, St. James 7. Bailey Williams still serving for the Trojans. Bailey floats one into the middle of the Rams defense. They set up their attack. Oh yeah. Kathleen Wright and Ashley White were there, but they didn't need to block it. It didn't get over the net. That's a point for St. James, and they trail now only by 1. Brew Tech 9, St. James 8. Bailey gets a nice serve, barely over the net. That ball's way out, almost hit the back wall. Attack error by the Rams evens the score, 9-9. Bailey Williams still serving for the Trojans. Trojans fight back to even the score at 9. Oh, the ball's out of bounds. Service error by St. James gives Brew Tech a side out and their 10th point, and they take a 1-point lead over St. James, 10-9. Serve comes in, played by Carson Crow. She gets the ball to Olsey, pushes it over to Ashley White. Off the block and back onto the St. James court for a point for Brew Tech, and they lead the Trojans now 11-9. Serve comes in, played by Carson Crow, gets the ball to Olsey, back to Ashley White, pushes the ball into the block. Olsey pushes the ball to the back row. Brew Tech sets it up. Nice try by Carson Crow. That's a point for Brew Tech and a nice kill by their attacker at the net. Brew Tech now with a 12-9 lead over St. James. Serve comes in. Ball's in. That's an ace for Brew Tech. St. James let the ball land in the court, and that gives Brew Tech a 13-9 lead as Coach Karen Lee calls a timeout. The Rams break their huddle and take the court. We got about 14 seconds left. The Trojans huddle up and break huddle and take the court. Trojans trail 13-9 in this third set. Serve comes in, played by Carson Crow. She gets the ball to Olsey. Olsey pushes over to Kathleen Wright. Ball's out of bounds. Point to the Rams. Brew Tech leads St. James now 14-9. Serve comes in. Ball's out. We needed that one. Side out to St. James on the service error. Emily Poundstone comes in for Ashley White as St. James trails Brew Tech 14-10. Poundstone serving for the Trojans. She floats it into the back right corner. The Rams set up their attack. Ball's pushed up by Kathleen Wright. Back over to Marilee Capulla. Ball hits the net and falls on St. James' side of the court. That's a side out and a point for the Rams. They lead St. James now 15-10. The lefty, number 4, serving for the Rams. She floats it in to Carson Crow. She gets the ball to Poundstone. Overpass to the Rams, and they push the ball back down on the court on St. James' side. They take a 16-10 lead over the Trojans. Serve comes over the net, played by Carson Crow. She gets it to Poundstone, back to Capulla. Capulla's blocked. She sets it back up. Back set to Carson Crow. Carson Crow runs over, gets the ball up to Poundstone. She pushes it to Olsey. Into the net and down on St. James' side of the court. The Trojans now trailing the Rams 17-10. Serve comes in, played by Emily Olsey, saved by Bailey Williams. Carson Crow gets the ball over the net on a free ball. The Rams set up their attack. Ball's dug up by Bailey Williams. Emily Poundstone gets the ball over Carson Crow, rolls it over the net. Ball's pushed over. Point to St. James. Setter here. Side out to St. James, and that's their 11th point. And we needed that as Lizanne Livings, number 15, comes in for Marilee Capulla and will be serving for St. James. The Trojans trailing the Rams 17-11. Nice serve by Lizanne, barely over the net. Ooh. That's a nice kill by the Rams, and they get a side out and take an 18-11 lead over the Trojans. Ball comes over the net, played by Bailey Williams. Poundstone pushes it over to Carson Ann Crow. Into the block. And the Rams attacker just pushes the ball back onto the backside of the Trojan back court for a kill. That's a point for the Rams, and they lead St. James now 19-11. Timeout, St. James. The Rams break their huddle and take the court. St. James huddles up and they take the court. The Trojans trail the Rams now 19-11 in this third set. Serve comes in. Misplayed serve by the Trojans gives Brew Tech an ace, and they lead the Trojans now 20-11. Floater serve comes in. Bailey Williams dives. Nice kill by Carson Ann Crow. She tried once and they got blocked and tipped it back up, and she hammered the ball back down again on the left side as St. James gets a side out. They trail the Rams 20-12. Alan Browning serving for the Trojans. She floats one in to the right side. Poundstone dives and digs the ball up. Browning gets the ball over to Bailey Williams. She pushes the ball back to the back left corner. We got a free ball coming to St. James. Browning gets the ball to Poundstone. Poundstone jump sets to Crow. She tips the ball, rolls it over the block. The Trojans couldn't get the attack back up. And that's a side out to the Rams, and they lead St. James 21-12. Lucy Edwards, number 3, comes in for Kathleen Wright on the back row. Serve comes in. Olsey pushes the ball to Poundstone. Back to Olsey. Trojans were blocked at the net, and they couldn't get the ball back over the net. The score, Brew Tech 22, St. James 12. Serve comes in. Overpass by the Trojans and pushed back down on the court by the Rams. They lead St. James now 23-12. St. James needs a side out. Serve comes in. Played by Lizanne Living. She pushes it to Poundstone. Back to Carson Ann Crow in the middle. And she's blocked. And ball falls back on the St. James side of the court. We're at set point in this third set. The Rams lead St. James 24-12. Set point for the Rams. Ball comes in, played by Lucy Edwards. She pushes it to, that's a nice play by Carson Ann Crow. Pushed it to Poundstone, and she rolled it over the block. That's a side out for St. James. Ashley White comes in for Emily Poundstone. Emily Olsey will be back serving for St. James. The score, Brew Tech 24, St. James 13. Olsey serves the ball into the middle of the back row. Pushed up at the net. That was a double hit. Double hit by the Brew Tech setter. That gives a point to St. James, and they trail now by 10. The score, Brew Tech 24, St. James 14. Emily Olsey back serving for the Trojans. She floats the ball. Oh, that's an ace. That's an ace. She put some heat on that one, and down on the court it goes. That's Olsey's second ace of the match today, and St. James trails Brew Tech 24 to 15. Olsey floats another one down. Hustles in and covers it up. Bailey Williams pushes the ball over to Carson Ann Crow. Kill down the left side. Olsey to Crow. Point for St. James. Score now. Brew Tech 24. St. James 16. Trojans on a roll. Olsey barely gets the ball over the net. Nice serve. Rolled over, played by Lizanne Livens. She gets the ball to Olsey, back to Carson Ann Crow. Ball's dug up. Carson Ann Crow digs the ball up, gets the ball to Olsey. Lizanne Livens gets the ball over the net. Brew Tech's in hustle mode now. We got a free ball to St. James. Lizanne Livens gets the ball to Olsey. Overpass saved by Bailey Williams. That's a push by Lizanne Livens, gets the ball to Carson Crow. She gets the ball over the net. Oh, that's a kill by Brew Tech, and that'll end the third set. St. James loses the third set to Brew Tech 16 to 25. Again, a 3-minute intermission between sets. Brew Tech now leads St. James 2 sets to 1. Again, this is a best 3 out of 5. The Trojans can't give up this fourth set. Trojans huddle up and take the court. This is the fourth set of a best 3 out of 5. The Trojans take the court with Kathleen Wright, Ashley White, Bailey Williams, Carson Ann Crow, Emily Olsey, Marilee Kapuya, and Emily Poundstone. Wait, we got 7. Poundstone's got to come off. There we go. All right, now I'm good. The down referee checks the lineups. Kathleen Wright, Marilee Kapuya, Ashley White on the front row, Emily Olsey, Carson Ann Crow, and Bailey Williams on the back row. Brew Tech will be serving St. James in this 4th set. We've got to have this set, the 4th or 5th set. Serve comes in. Ball's out of bounds. We needed that one to start out ahead. St. James takes a 1-0 lead on the service error by the Rams. Emily Poundstone comes in for Ashley White and will be serving for St. James. Poundstone serves the ball into the middle of the back row. The Rams hustle up. Got a back row attack. Ball played by Bailey Williams to get to the Poundstone. Kathleen Wright over. The ball's down. The kill by Kathleen Wright. That's her 2nd kill. Point for St. James, and they take a 2-0 lead. Poundstone serves the ball on the right sideline. Another back row attack. Rolled over, played by Bailey Williams. Gets it to Poundstone. Back to Kapuya. Oh, the ball's out of bounds. Nice idea, just a little long. St. James holding on to a 2-1 lead. Number 1 for Brew Tech goes back to serve to the Trojans. Serve comes in, played by Carson Crow. She gets it to Poundstone. Back to Olsey. Into the net and down on St. James side of the court. That's an attack error by the Trojans, and that evens the score, 2-2. Serve comes in, played by Bailey Williams to Poundstone, to Olsey. She gets the ball over the block. The Rams set up their attack. The ball's blocked. Carson Ann Crow saves it. Poundstone gets the ball to Marilee Kapuya on the top. That's a kill by Marilee Kapuya. The Rams were hustling, trying to get the ball back over the net. St. James takes a 3-2 lead as Marilee Kapuya, number 7, goes back to serve for the Trojans. Serve comes in to the back row on the right side. The Rams set up their free ball to St. James. Kapuya gets the ball to Poundstone. Poundstone to Olsey. Ball's blocked at the net. Poundstone gets the ball back over to Kathleen Wright. She pushes the ball up. Ball's into the net. Point for St. James. That's an attack error for the Rams, and that gives St. James a 4-2 lead. Kapuya serves the ball to the back right corner. That's an overpass. Olsey tips the ball back over onto the Rams side of the court, and that's a kill for Emily Olsey. That gives the Trojans now a 5-2 lead. Trojans got a little momentum. Kapuya serves the ball again to the middle of the back row. Another overpass. Ball's pushed over to Carson Ann Crow. Olsey Poundstone. That ball's down. That's a kill for Carson Ann Crow down the left sideline. And that gives St. James a 6-2 lead. Timeout Brew Tech on the court. St. James leading the Rams 6-2. This is a start that we needed for this 4th set. Brew Tech breaks their huddle and takes the court. The Trojans do the same as Marilee Kapuya, number 7, back serving for St. James. St. James with a 6-2 lead. Trojans got to have this 4th set. Serve comes in to the middle of the Rams defense, pushed up to the net. Oh, it's blocked at the net and goes out of bounds. That's a side out and a point for the Rams. The Trojans had the block in place, but it goes off our block and out of bounds. Point to the Rams. St. James holding on to a 3-point lead now. The score, St. James 6, the Rams 3. Serve comes in, played by Carson Ann Crow. She gets it to Poundstone, pushes it to Crow. Ball's hit over the block. Back set for the Rams, played by Bailey Williams. She gets it to Poundstone, back sets to Kathleen Wright. Ball's dug up by the Rams. They set up their offense. Ball's blocked at the net by Olsey and Crow. Oh, man, goes off the hitter's fingers and down onto St. James' side of the court. That's like a changeup in baseball. We had our blockers in place, but she hit it over the block and onto the court. St. James holding on to a 2-point lead now. The score, St. James 6, the Rams 4. Serve comes in, played by Bailey Williams. She gets to the Poundstone, pushes it to Carson Ann Crow. The Rams dig up the attack. Oh, that's a lift by the St. James front row. Point for the Rams, and St. James holding on to a 1-point lead now with the score. The Trojans 6 and the Rams 5. Serve comes in, played by Bailey Williams. Poundstone hustles over and gets the ball to Carson Ann Crow. She rolls it over the block and down on the court. Smart play by Carson Ann to get the ball over the block. That's a point for St. James, and they take a 7-5 lead over the Rams as Alan Browning comes in for Kathleen Wright. Browning floats one over, barely over the net. Oh, the Rams attacker has a kill over on the St. James side of the court. Side out to Brew Tech, with St. James leading Brew Tech 7-6. Serve comes in, played by Carson Ann Crow. She gets it to Poundstone, pushes it back to Bailey Williams. Nice shot by Bailey Williams. That's Bailey Williams' second kill of the match. Very well placed kill. Side out to St. James, and they take an 8-6 lead. Emily Olsey back serving for the Trojans. Olsey floats it in to the middle of the back row. Rams set up their attack, pushed over, dug up nicely by Marilee Kapuya. Gets it to Olsey, back over to Ashley White. The Rams dig the ball, pushed at the net by the Rams attacker. They set up their attack, blocked it, blocked at the net, and the ball falls on the St. James side of the court. That was a nice play by the Rams. St. James holding on to a 1-point lead now. St. James leading Brew Tech 8-7. Ball comes in, played by Alan Brown, and she gets it to Emily Olsey. Back sets to Carson Ann Crow. Nice dig by the Rams. Overpass and out of bounds. That's a point for St. James. St. James leading Brew Tech now 9-7 as Carson Ann Crow goes back to serve for the Trojans. Carson Ann serves the ball into the back middle of the Rams defense. They set up their attack. Ball dug up nicely by Olsey. Alan Browning hustles it back. Olsey gets the ball back in, and the ball's just out of bounds. Side out and a point for the Rams as St. James holding on to a 1-point lead now, 9-8. Number 11, the lefty, going back to serve for the Rams. Serve comes over, dug up by Carson Ann Crow, gets the ball to Olsey. She pushes it up to Ashley White. Rams get the ball over the net. Olsey back sets to Ashley White, and down it goes. Ashley White with her 6th kill. Nice set-up play by Ashley. Hit it where there ain't. St. James takes a 10-8 lead over the Rams as Bailey Williams goes back to serve for St. James. Bailey floats one in to the right side. Gets the ball close to the net. We blocked the ball, but we blocked it out of bounds over on the Rams side. That's a point to Brew Tech and a side out to them. St. James holding on to a 1-point lead now with the score 10-9. Another lefty, number 4, back serving for the Rams. She floats one in, played by Marilee Kapuya. Pushes it up. Oh, that's a lift. Doggone it. A lift on the St. James attacker gives a point to the Rams, and we're all tied up at 10. We need a side out here. We need her to hit this one in the net. She floats it over, played by Marilee Kapuya. She gets it to Olsey. Back sets it to Carson Ann Crow. Off the blocker and into the face of another Rams player. That's a kill for Carson Ann Crow. Very well set up play. Point for St. James, and they lead the Rams now 11-10 as Emily Poundstone comes in for Ashley White. Serves for the St. James. Ball's on the line. It's a nice attack by the Rams. Side out Brew Tech. We're all tied up at 11. Number 1 back serving for the Rams. She floats the ball over, played by Carson Ann Crow. Pushes it up to Poundstone. Olsey pushes it over the net. Rams set up their attack. Poundstone gets the ball over to Kathleen Wright. That's a double hit on Wright. Point for the Rams, and they take a 12-11 lead over the Trojans. The Trojans needing a side out here. Number 1 back serving for the Rams. Serves the ball over, played by Carson Ann Crow. Gets the ball to Poundstone. Quick sets to Olsey. The Rams set up their offense. Blocked by St. James and out of bounds on the Rams side. That's a point to Brew Tech, and they take a 13-11 lead over St. James. Floater serve comes over, played by Kathleen Wright. Back over to Olsey. Off the block and out of bounds. That's a kill by Emily Olsey. Side out, the point for St. James, and they trail the Rams by 1. The score, Brew Tech 13, St. James 12. Marilee Kapuya back serving for St. James. She floats one into the right back corner of the Rams defense. Oh, that's a nice one. The Rams attacker, just a check swing, and the ball's hitting to the net. That evens the score at 13-all. Marilee Kapuya still back serving for St. James. Nice serve down the left sideline. The Rams set up a back set. Ball's dug up by Poundstone. Bailey Williams rushes in to set up the ball up to Carson Ann Crow. Cross court shot. Ball's, St. James couldn't dig the ball up off the court. That's a side out and a point for the Rams, and they take a 14-13 lead over our Trojans. The Rams libero, number 18, goes back to serve to the Trojans. Floats one in, played by Bailey Williams. She gets it to Poundstone. Quick sets to Carson Ann Crow. Off the block, Carson Ann pushes the ball back over the net. Oh, that's a lift if there ever was one, played by Poundstone. She gets the ball back over to Bailey Williams. Rolls the ball over the block. Ball blocked by Kathleen Wright. Point for St. James. Nice block by Kathleen. That evens the score at 14-all as Alan Browning comes in for Kathleen Wright and serves for the Trojans. We're all knotted up at 14. Browning floats one into the middle of the Rams defense. Ball's blocked at the net by Olsey and Crow. Back row set. Ball dug up by Poundstone and back over the net. Carson Ann Crow gets the ball up off the net. Bailey Williams puts the ball over the net to the Rams defense. Ball's blocked, and the ball falls onto the court for St. James. That's a point for the Rams. Ball is blocked, but the ball came back over and fell onto the St. James side of the court. The Rams take a 15-4 lead. Serve comes in, played by Carson Ann Crow. Olsey hustles over, gets it to Bailey Williams. The ball goes down. That's a kill for Bailey Williams. That's her third kill of the match. Point for St. James, and we're all knotted up at 15 as Emily Olsey goes back to serve for the Trojans. Ashley White, number 18, comes in for Emily Poundstone to the front row. Bailey Williams, Ashley White, and Carson Ann Crow on the front row for the Trojans. Emily Olsey back serving for St. James. Olsey serving for the Trojans. She floats one into the middle of the back row. It's a nice kill by the Rams attacker. That's a side out to Brew Tech, and they take a 16-15 lead over Trojans. Number 15 for the Rams goes back to serve to St. James. Serve comes off, played by Marilee Kapuya. She gets the ball to Olsey, back to Carson Crow. Rams dig the kill up. Olsey gets the ball up to Alan Browning. Alan Browning gets the ball to Carson Crow. Rolls it over the block and down. That's a kill for Carson Crow. St. James evens the score now at 16-all. Carson Crow, number 13, goes back to serve for the Trojans. We're all knotted at 16 in this fourth set. Carson floats a floater over the, gets the ball to Olsey. Olsey pushes the ball to Ashley White. Ball's out of bounds. It's a kill for Ashley White. St. James got a point. They take a 1-point lead over Brew Tech. Carson Crow back serving for the Trojans. Another floater serve to the middle of the Rams defense. They set up their attack. Dug nicely by Browning. Gets the ball to Olsey. Ashley White over the net kill. That's her 8th kill. Hit it where they ain't. The Trojans take an 18-16 lead over the Rams. Carson Crow still back serving for St. James. She floats another one into the middle of the back row. The Rams set up their attack. Down the line kill by the Rams attacker. Right on the line. That's a side out and a point for the Rams. St. James holding on to a 1-point lead now, 18-17. Multiple changes for the Rams as the number 11, the lefty, goes back to serve to the Trojans. Serve comes in, played by Marilee Kapuya. She gets the ball to Olsey. Front set to Ashley White. Ball's down. That's a kill for Ashley White. That's her 9th kill. Point to St. James. They take a 19-17 lead over the Rams as Bailey Williams, number 14, goes back to serve for the Trojans. Not sure what's going on, but we got water on the court again. Could just be like instead of calling timeout, they're wiping water up. That's a Montgomery Academy trick. All right, Bailey Williams back serving for the Trojans. Floats the ball into the middle of the back row. The Rams set up their offensive attack. Ball's pushed up by Williams to Olsey, back to Marilee Kapuya. Off the block, Kathleen Wright in the middle. Carson Crow sets it up, back sets to Ashley White. Ball falls on the St. James side of the court. Some nice attacks by St. James. We just didn't get the point. That's a side out to the Rams. St. James holding on to a 1-point lead now. The score, St. James 19, Brew Tech 18. Serve comes in, played by Carson Crow. She gets the ball to Olsey. Sets up Ashley White. Into the net and down. That's Ashley White's unofficially, that's her 10th kill of the match. And St. James leads Brew Tech now 20-18 as Emily Poundstone comes in for Ashley White. Poundstone will be serving for St. James. Poundstone serving. Ball goes into the middle of the back row. The Rams attacker hits the ball off our single block in the middle and down onto the court. Side out to Brew Tech. St. James holding on to a 1-point lead. The score, St. James 20, Brew Tech 19. Number 1 back serving for the Rams. Serve comes in, played by Carson Crow. Poundstone pushes the ball up to Olsey. Tips the ball over the block and down. That's a kill for Emily Olsey. That's her 10th kill. St. James leading Brew Tech now 21-19 as Marilee Kapuya goes back to serve for the Trojans. Serves the ball into the middle of the back row of the Rams. They set up their attack. Ball's dug up nicely by Bailey Williams. Poundstone gets the ball over to Carson Ann Crow. She rolls the ball over the block. Overpass and down. The Rams had an overpass and Carson Ann Crow made them pay for it. Timeout, Brew Tech. Score on the court, St. James 22, Brew Tech 19. Little fire left in our Trojans this fourth set. We're looking for 3 more points to go to play a 5th set. St. James has to win this 4th set. The Rams break their huddle and take the court. Trojans break their huddle and take the court. Marilee Kapuya, number 7, back serving for St. James. St. James leading the Rams now 22-19. Serve comes into the middle of the back row. The Rams, they set up their attack. Ball's hitting to the net. Free ball to St. James, played by Olsey. Gets it to Poundstone. Pushes over to Carson Ann Crow. Off a defender and out of bounds. That's a kill for Carson Ann Crow. Point to St. James. St. James leading the Rams now 23-19. Kapuya still back serving for St. James. Nice floater serve. Oh, the ball's out of bounds long. Doggone it. Service error gives a side out to Brew Tech, with St. James leading the Rams 23-20. Number 18, the Rams libero serving to the Trojans. Floater serve played by Carson Ann Crow to Poundstone. Pushes it back over to Carson Ann Crow and down. Carson Ann Crow with another kill. Poundstone to Crow. Gets us to set point this 4th set. Alan Browning comes in for Ashley White and will be serving for the Trojans. Set point, St. James 24, Brew Tech 20. Browning floats one into the middle of the back row. The Rams set up their offense. There's the block. Oh, it's blocked by St. James and goes out of bounds. Side out, the point to the Rams. They're not going to give it up easy. Still at set point for St. James. They lead the Rams 24-21. Serve comes in, played by Alan Browning. She gets to the Poundstone. Back sets to Carson Ann Crow in the middle. That's going to be an overpass, push up by Poundstone. Olsey calls it. Back set to Marilee Kapuya. Ball's pushed up to the net. Oh, nice kill by the Rams. St. James still leads the Rams in this 4th set. We're still at set point, 24-22. Ball comes in. Oh, that's an ace. St. James couldn't get the ball back up off the court. Timeout, St. James. Score on the court, St. James 24, Brew Tech 23. Brew Tech breaks her huddle and takes the court, trailing St. James by 1 point. The Trojans break huddle and they take the court, leading by 1 point to score. St. James 24, Brew Tech 23, sorry. I wish it was 21. Now we got water on the court. Now, see, the Trojans can play the same game that the Rams play. We're out of timeouts. There's obviously water all over our court. All right, here we go. Set point. St. James 24, Rams 23. Oh, that's what we needed. Service error by the Rams gives St. James the 4th set, and we're going to play 5. St. James wins the 4th set, 25-23.
They play the 25 or 15?
15. This 5th and final set, we're playing to 15, so we got to take a lead. It's 2 sets apiece now. Winner take all in this 5th and final set. We're playing to 15. It's a great volleyball match played by two great teams.
The most concrete units.
Playing to 15. We got a little less than a minute before we start this 5th and final set. Both teams won 2 sets apiece. Unofficially, Carson and Crows got 18 kills. Bailey Williams has 3 kills. Marilee Kapuya has 3 kills. Kathleen Wright has 2 kills. Emily Olsey has 10 kills, and Ashley White has 10 kills. Unofficial numbers. The down ref has checked the Brewtech Rams lineup. They're on the court. St. James breaks huddle, and they take the court. Take that back. The down ref is now checking Brewtech's lineup. Now check St. James lineup. Brewtech will be serving to St. James in this 5th and final set. Number 4, the lefty, serving to the Trojans. Ball's floated over, played by Marilee Kapuya to Olsey, pushes it over to Ashley White. Down, Ashley White with authority. Nice kill by Ashley White to give St. James a 1-0 lead as Emily Poundstone, number 10, comes in for Ashley White and will be serving for St. James. That's a way to start the 5th set off. Poundstone floats one into the middle of the back row of the Rams. They set up their attack. Oh! Ball goes off a St. James defender and out of bounds. That's a side out to the Rams, and that evens the score at 1 apiece. Number 1 for the Rams, serving to the Trojans, serves it in. Ball's out of bounds. A service error by the Rams gives St. James a side out and a 2-1 lead as Marilee Kapuya, number 7, back serving for St. James. Serve comes in to the left back. Get out of here, ball. That's an ace. Ace for Kapuya. That's her 2nd of the match and couldn't have come at a better time. That gives St. James a 3-1 lead over the Rams. Ball comes in just barely over the net. Olsey, that was so smart. Nice play by Emily Olsey on the overpass. She pushed it to the right side of the defender for a kill. Very smart play by Emily Olsey. Hit it where they ain't. The Trojans lead the Rams 4-1. Kapuya serves another one into the middle of the back row. The Rams set up a back row attack. Ball's dug up by Bailey Williams. Get to the Poundstone, over to Carson Ann Crow. The ball hits the antenna and called out of bounds by the down referee. Point inside out for the Rams. They trail St. James 4-2. Number 18, the libero, serving to the Trojans. Ball comes in, played by Bailey Williams. She pushes it to Poundstone. Carson and Crow rolls the ball over the block. The Rams set up their attack. They roll the ball over, and St. James can't get the ball up. That's a point for the Rams. St. James leading now 4-3. Holding on to a 1-point lead. Ball comes in, played by Carson and Crow. Gets it to Poundstone, pushes it back to Kathleen Wright. She hits it to the middle of the back row. The Rams push the ball over, played by Capulia. She gets it to Poundstone. Over to Olsey. Over the block and down. That's a kill by Emily Olsey. Poundstone to Olsey. Gives St. James a 5-3 lead. Alan Browning comes in for Kathleen Wright, serving for the Trojans. Browning serves the ball in, floats it into the middle of the defense. They set up their attack. Ball's tipped up, played by Poundstone. Browning comes in to push the ball over to Bailey Williams. Carson Crow gets the ball back over the net. Set up their attack. Blocked at the net by Olsey and down. Nice block. Emily Olsey and Carson Crow at the net. Gives St. James their 6th point, and they lead the Rams 6-3 in this 5th and final set. Browning floats another one into the middle of the defense. They push the ball up to their hitter. Oh, that's down. That was a nice kill by the Brew Tech attacker. St. James now to side out to Brew Tech, and St. James holding on to a 6-4 lead. Ball comes in, played by Alan Browning. She gets it to Poundstone. She back sets it over to Bailey Williams. Ball's out of bounds. That's an attack error by St. James, and they gives a point to Brew Tech, and St. James has a 6-5 lead over the Rams. Serve comes in, played by Alan Browning. Olsey calls for it, pushes the ball up to Carson and Crow. Ball's played by St. James. Poundstone hits the ball back over the net. Roll, played by Alan Browning. Poundstone pushes the ball back over. Poundstone gets the ball to Olsey. Olsey gets the ball over the net. Carson and Crow's not fooled, stays at home. Poundstone back to Crow. Ball's dug up by the Rams. They push the ball over. Pushed up. Ball saved by Bailey Williams. Marilee Capulia. Carson and Crow gets the ball back over to the middle of the Rams defense. They set up their offense. Ball's hit to the net by the Rams. That's a point for St. James and a side out. St. James takes a 7-5 lead over the Rams as Emily Olsey goes back to serve for St. James. Ashley White comes in for Emily Poundstone. Olsey floats one into the middle of the back row. Blocked, picked up nicely by Capulia. Olsey gets the ball over to White. Down on the block. Saved. Carson and Crow gets the ball over the net. The Trojans hustle back into position. Capulia digs the ball up, gets it to Olsey. Olsey back over to Crow. Ball's blocked at the called 4 hits. Called 4 hits by the up ref. Side out to Brew Tech with St. James leading Brew Tech 7-6. Ball comes over and out of bounds. Service error by Brew Tech gives St. James a side out and an 8-6 lead over the Rams as Carson and Crow goes back to serve for St. James. She floats one into the middle of the defense, pushed up to the net. Blocked by Ashley White and back down to the Rams side of the court. Ashley White's first block of the match. Timeout Brew Tech. Score on the court, St. James 9, Brew Tech 6. Brew Tech breaks huddle, takes the court. The Trojans stack it up, huddle up, break huddle and take the court. Carson and Crow, number 13, back serving for St. James. Marilee Capulia, Ashley White, Bailey Williams on the front row for the Trojans. Carson and kicks it in. It's played by the Rams back defender. Ball's dug up by Olsey. Allen Browning hustles in, gets the ball over to Ashley White. Ball gets over the net. The Rams set up their offense. Ball's pushed over, played by Allen Browning, comes in, gets it to Olsey, pushes it to Marilee Kapuya on a quick set, dug up by Carson Ann Crow. Overpass by St. James, and the Rams defender knocks the ball back down on the St. James side of the court. That's a side out for the Rams with St. James holding on to a 2-point lead now. The score, St. James 9, the Rams 7. Number 11, the lefty, getting ready to serve ball to the Trojans. Ball's out of bounds. A service area again by the Rams gives St. James a side out and a 10-7 lead as Kathleen Wright comes into the game for Allen Browning. Bailey Williams back serving for the Trojans. Bailey serves the ball into the back. It's off her face. Got a free ball to St. James. Ashley White gets the ball up. Bailey Williams gets the ball saved to Kapuya. Ball's down on the line to St. James. That's a kill for Marilee Kapuya. Perfectly placed. And it gives St. James an 11-7 lead. Bailey Williams back serving for the Trojans. Bailey serves the ball in to the left side. The Rams set up their offense. It's a free ball to St. James, played by Carson Ann Crow. Gets the ball to Olsey, back sets to Ashley White. Hits something up there. The Rams get ready to get the ball. We got a free ball. Comes Carson Ann Crow to Olsey. Over to Kathleen Wright and down. Kathleen Wright with a kill on the left side, cross-court shot. Nicely placed by the Trojans. And they take a 12-7 lead over the Rams. The Trojans break huddle, and they say push 3, we need 3 points. The Rams break their huddle, take the court. Bailey Williams, number 14, back serving for St. James. Kathleen Wright, Ashley White, and Marilee Kapuya up on the front row for the Trojans. Emily Olsey and Carson Ann Crow on the back row join Bailey Williams. Williams with a nice serve, and out of bounds. Oh, did they save it? No, they didn't. Bailey Williams with an ace, first ace of the match, and perfect timing. The Trojans now lead the Rams 13-7. Bailey Williams, but still back serving for St. James. We got a substitution for the Rams. Trojans leading 13-7. Bailey Williams with a nice serve to the back right corner. Carson Ann Crow rushes in to get it to Olsey. Olsey back to Ashley White. In the corner, Ashley White with a kill and the cross-court kill in the back left corner. Perfectly placed ball for Ashley. Here we are, folks. It's set point, match point. The Trojans leading the Rams 14-7. Bailey Williams back serving for St. James. This is for the set and the match. Nice serve. And it's down. That's an ace for Bailey Williams to end the set and the match. The Trojans take the 5th and final set from the Rams, 15-7. What a match. What a match. That takes the Trojans to 6-0 in area play. Great victory for our St. James Trojans.